G'day fishing legends, Cuberts here, and as you can see we're out at Kawongbar once again, and wait a minute. Salt. This isn't a bass video. I just got a mouthful of sunscreen then. Oh, I'm gonna be tasting that for a while. Sun's safe all the way down. Alright. So this is a little creek just off of Moreton Bay, straight out near Nudgee. And it's not in the green zone, so it's okay. And we're just going to chuck some smaller lures around, I think. I've got my Fat Dog on here. It's a Fat Dog Deep. Whoop. And it's in one of the clear stripy ones. I think it's called 12 gauge. Going with quite a clear one because it's quite sunny today. It's got a nice pearl to it and it's got those little stripes. So hopefully we'll pick up a couple of brim if nothing else. And maybe even a flatty or a flounder or something. We've got a good setup at the moment where the wind is blowing against the tide. So ideally for fishing in a tide, you cast upstream and then bring the lure back down because all the flathead are pointing into the current. So if you fish the other way, you hit them in the butt and that spooks them. So this way we're going to get to the big end, the pointy end of the fish. And the wind will carry us into the creek a little bit, so I don't have to paddle against the current constantly, which is good. Good for us non-Hobie users who don't have the who don't have to make a choice between moving and casting. Us plebs with our paddles. Speaking of plebs and paddles, you might notice that this is not my usual yellow paddle, and that's because it's a new Seek paddle that I picked up. Very cheap paddle. I just got it from Anaconda. I think it was like 99 bucks or something, and it is almost half the weight of my yellow bladed paddle. I needed a second paddle for my other kayak so my mate could come out with me, because I only had one paddle because, you know, I didn't need two paddles. And I was actually hanging out to get a proper 200 centimeter, like a short paddle with like fiberglass wing or something to go for my offshore kayak, but I spent a long time looking for them and no one really had the ones that I wanted in stock, and I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting. So I went bugger it, down Anaconda, had a look at a couple of paddles, and this one is it's a single piece paddle in, I think it's like 218 centimeters, so it's a tiny bit shorter than my other paddle. Ideally I'd have one like in the 200 to 210 range for my ocean kayak, just because it's so narrow. It's 65 centimeters versus like the 80 centimeters of this guy, which means you can get the paddle way in close to your body when you're paddling, which means you can get away with a much shorter paddle. The thing with long paddles is when you paddle out wide like this. They're designed to be paddled out quite wide to clear the kayak, and the wider you paddle, the more it turns the kayak with each stroke, and that trying to turn force slows your kayak down. So the closer you can kayak to your body, you can paddle to your body, like the more vertical you can get that paddle, the faster you go with the least energy. So short paddle's always good. This one, 218, it's only 2 centimeters shorter than my other paddle. So, but it was 99 bucks instead of like the 300 bucks that even the basic stealth ones are these days. And most importantly, it has fiber reinforced paddle blades. So if you're out shopping for a paddle, you go around to like Anaconda or BCF or whatever, give the blades a flex, and if they are floppy, they are a pure nylon paddle. If they've got a bit more resistance to them but they still look like a plastic paddle, that means they're fiberglass reinforced, and you can really tell the difference when you try and bend them. This is quite a stiff paddle. I think it's a little bit stiffer than my Propels paddle that my Viking came with. And it's good because you can paddle really hard and you won't feel it blow out like you do with a really cheap paddle. When you get like a rental kayak or something, or one with the aluminium shaft, and you pull it through the water as hard as you can, and you feel it just go "Buh," and it just sort of collapses and just blows off all your power. That's a horrible feeling. This one also has a fiberglass shaft, although it's got some sort of sticker on it like a fake fake carbon fiber sticker, which I don't really like that much. And it has the D handle here as well. So it's like, instead of a pure round handle, which most kayak blade shafts are, it's got a little bit of a D on this end, so it's like a little bit of a fat area, and that just like fits your hand like this, and then that lets you control your paddle blade, because it's really hard to fit in a shot. This blade is vertical, and this blade is at 45 degrees, which means it's got 45 degrees of feather, and that's not adjustable because it's a single piece paddle. Normally I like to have them adjustable, but this saves a little bit of weight and it still fits in my car, so it's okay. And yeah, you just lock your hand down on this one, and then you can let your left hand pivot like this. And so you paddle with this one and pivot, and then paddle with this one. And what that feathering does is it helps mostly on a windy day like this, where the blade that's going through the air, so the blade that's not in the water, is actually going to be more parallel with the wind instead of like that, like a sail. So with a typical flat blade paddle, well, I guess even bladed paddle without feather, the paddle which is generating power is parallel with the other paddle, and so that's basically a sail. Every time you paddle, you're creating drag on yourself, and it doesn't make much difference in, like, on a calm day. I don't really notice much difference, but on a windy day you really get a little bit of a boost from having that bit of feather in your blade. And so it's worth learning with like a basic paddle like this to control a feathered paddle. God, it's really hard to keep all these words together, isn't it? Woof! Let's just go fishing instead. Enough of the paddle talk. It's a good paddle, 99 bucks, it's pretty cheap. I wouldn't go any cheaper than one of these. I would stay away from aluminium shafts because they're gross and weak and heavy and cold in winter. Stick to a fiberglass paddle like this and make sure it has stiff blades, and that's pretty much all you need to have an efficient paddle. This will work fine offshore, no problems at all. I've done 11 k's an hour on my ocean kayak with this paddle, so it's fine. Let's chuck a cast up into that little bit of shade there. There's a little gutter that will be draining out with the dropping tide. Oh, I got a hit from something right then. Steer left, steer left. I just cast the fat dog into where I got hit on the double clutch. I figured if it was going to hit a 95 double clutch, it'd probably inhale a 40mm fat dog. And I think it's a little flatty. Oh no, it's just a brim. There you go. Just got him through that bottom lip. There we go. One little brimbo. Send him on his way. There we go. It was a little bit windy when I launched, but the wind seems to have died off, which is good news. So now I've only really got the tide to contend with. And I should be bottoming out in the next hour or so. So hopefully the wind stays down, the rain buggers off, and we can find some flats to throw around on. Yep, that's the plan. The weed better be good. Ooh, it's pretty shallow out here. Just looking at this, at these waves breaking around here. They're only this big and they're breaking, so very shallow. That's a fish. Just over at the bar of this this creek, we picked up a small brim, I think. Maybe not. You can just see where it is. There's a shallow bar in the mouth of this creek, which I think stops the boats going in at low tide. And we've just picked up something. Oh, it's a little flatty. There you go. Classic flatty. Never change. Hey, wait, watch out. With that. Uh-oh, what have I done? There we go. Pop that there. Just gonna grab a net. Flatty, it's been a while since I've caught a flatty. Come here. There we go. Little flatty. Right at the mouth of that creek. Bang on. Hey. Alright. Let's get a look at you. There we go. How big are you, mate? He is 40, man, 42, 43. Pretty skinny. Not the biggest flatty. Hey. Stop it. There we go. Little fat dog. Great little lure. And let's send him home. Off you go, buddy. Now I need some more line on this rod. Lost a lot of line off of it. Still working out what I want to put on there. I've been trying all kinds of different lines. I've tried like the Daiwa, a few different ones by Daiwa, and I like the Grand. That's the only one I like. I've tried Power Pro and Power Pro V2, and they're both kind of Sufix 832, it's all right. Sunline, it's pretty good. I don't know. I favor casting lines over like strength lines, because if I get shredded on a rock or something, then I never assume I'm going to get a fish off. I don't think there's any braid on earth that'll help me in those situations. It's sort of degrees, like one lasts 1 second and one lasts 1.3 seconds, you know? So I'd rather have a casting line that doesn't work than a line which casts like shit and only works slightly better on abrasion. So, yeah. Wanted to finish it off. It's not big. It's just at the edge of a little drop off here. Maybe it's a flatty because it's just coming in. So the fight will begin in a second when it gets to the surface. Oh no. Oh yeah, it's a flatty. Oh, and he's off. He was a very small little flatty. Probably in that 30, 35 mark. Might have been a bar tail though, because I think I saw yellow. That would have been cool.